Hey, boys and girls. We're up to chapter 6 in Tales of the Fourth Grade Nothing. And this chapter is called Fang Hits Town. Fang Hits Town. Remember, Fang is Fudge, that nickname that the mom, Mrs. Chatchers, does not like him being called. Fudge likes his new bed a lot. There was just one problem. He fell out of it every night. By the fourth night, my mother and father got smart. They pushed the bed against the wall and surrounded the other side with chairs. Now there was no place for Fudge to fall. But every morning, my mother found him curled up in one of the chairs. My father said they could have saved their money since Fudge was so happy sleeping in an old chair. On Saturday, we had to go to the dentist. He wanted to check Fudge's mouth again to make sure everything healed all right since his flying experience. Dr. Brown is an old friend of my father's. They went to school together. He's always saying he takes special good care of me and Fudge because we're chips off the old block being my father. His office is on the other side of the park. It's near Madison Avenue. My mother said we'd make a day of it, and wouldn't that be fun? I'd rather go to the movies with Jimmy Fargo, I told her. But we'll have such a good time, my mother said. The three of us will go out for lunch and then we'll get new shoes for you and Fudge. I've been out to lunch with Fudge, I reminded her. He's growing up, Peter. He knows how to behave now. I'd still rather go to the movies with Jimmy. Well, you're coming with me, and that's that. I wasn't looking forward to my day, and Saturday is always the best day of the week. Every Saturday morning, I clean out Dribble's bow. Sometimes, if Fudge is very good, I let him watch. I do it in the bathroom. First, I take Dribble out of his bow and let him crawl around in the tub. I'm afraid to put him on the floor. Somebody might step on him. But in the tub, I know he's safe. Next, I take the rocks out of his bowl and wash them. The last thing I do is wash the bowl itself. I really scrub it. I even rinse it 2 or 3 times to make sure all the soap is out. And when I'm done with that, I put the rocks back in, fill it with just the right amount of water. After I put Dribble back in his bowl, I feed him. Usually he goes right to sleep on his favorite rock. I guess running around the bathtub really makes my turtle tired. Today, I finished with Dribble just in time. My mother was rushing, mumbling about getting us to Dr. Brown's office in time for our appointment. When we were outside, we took the cross-town bus, then walked a few blocks to his office. As soon as the nurse saw Fudge, she said, "How's my favorite patient?" She gave him a hug and a little book to read. To me, she said, "Good morning, Peter." It burns me up the way people treat Fudge. He's not so special. He's just little, that's all. But someday he's going to be 9 years old too. I can't wait until he is. Then he'll know there's nothing so great about him after all. Soon the nurse said, "Fudge, Dr. Brown is ready for you. Come with now. Come with me now." Fudge took the nurse's hand. Dr. Brown has this rule about mothers in the examining room with kids. They're not allowed. Mothers are a big problem, Dr. Brown told me once. I agreed. I looked through a National Geographic magazine while I waited. After a few minutes, the nurse came out and whispered something to my mother. I looked up, wondering what the big secret was. Then my mother said, "Peter, Dr. Brown would like you to help him with Fudge." "Help him?" I said. "I'm no dentist." The nurse said, "Peter, dear, if you'll just come with me, I'm sure everything will work out fine." So I went with the nurse. "What do I have to do?" I asked her. "Oh, not much. Dr. Brown just wants you to show Fudge how you open your mouth and how he checks your teeth." "What do I have to do that for?" I asked. "I don't need a checkup yet. I just had one last month." "Your brother won't open his mouth this morning," the nurse whispered. "He won't?" I whispered back. "No, he won't," she said again. I thought that was pretty funny. I never considered refusing to open my mouth at the dentist's office. When he says open, I open. When we reached the examining room, Fudge was sitting in the big chair. He had a towel around his neck and looked all ready for action. Dr. Brown was showing him lots of little things and explaining what he does with each one. Fudge kept nodding, but he wouldn't open his mouth. "Ah, Peter," Dr. Brown said when he saw me, "would you open your mouth so I can count your teeth?" That's what he tells the little kids he's doing, counting their teeth. Little kids will believe anything. I went along with Dr. Brown's joke. I opened my mouth very wide, much wider than when I'm the real patient. He put his mirror in and said, "Ooh, wonderful teeth, just beautiful. A regular chip off the old block. Such a shame your brother can't open his mouth the way you do." "I can so," Fudge said. "No," Dr. Brown told him, "you can't open your mouth nearly as good as Peter." "I can so. See?" Fudge opened his mouth. "No, I'm sorry, Fudge," Dr. Brown said. "It's still not as good as Peter." So Fudge opened his mouth really wide. "Count teeth," he said. "Count Fudgy's teeth." "Well," Dr. Brown pretended to think about it. "Count!" Fudge shouted. "Well," Dr. Brown said again, scratching his head. "I guess as long as you're here, I might as well count your teeth." So he checked Fudge's mouth. When he was through, Fudge said, "See, see, just like Peter." "Yes," Dr. Brown said, smiling. "I can see that. You're just like Peter." He gave me a wink. I liked the way Dr. Brown tricked Fudge into opening his mouth. So when he was through examining him, I whispered, "Couldn't you make some false teeth until his grown-up ones come in?" "No, he'll just have to wait," Dr. Brown said. "But he looks like he has fangs," I told him. "You better not say that in front of your mother," Dr. Brown said. "I know it. She's not too big on fangs." Dr. Brown thanked me for helping him. My mother made another appointment for Fudge. The nurse kissed my brother goodbye, and we left. "That wasn't so bad, was it, Peter?" my mother said. "It could have been worse," I admitted. We headed for Bloomingdale's, where we get our shoes. There are 5 salesmen in the children's shoe department. 2 of them my mother doesn't like. She thinks they don't measure my feet carefully, that all they care about is selling shoes, even if they don't get the right sizes in stock. The other ones my mother thinks are okay. There's one she likes a lot. His name is Mr. Berman. I like him too, because he's funny. He usually makes believe that the right shoe goes on the left foot and that Fudge's shoes are really for me. Anyway, when Mr. Berman waits on us, buying shoes is almost fun. Today, Mr. Berman spotted us right away. He always remembers our name. "Well, if it isn't the Hatcher boys," he said. "In the flesh," I told him. Fudge opened his mouth for Mr. Berman. See, all gone." "His teeth," my mother explained to Mr. Berman. "He knocked out his top two front teeth." "Well, congratulations," Mr. Berman said. "That calls for a celebration." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out 2 lollipops. He handed one to me and one to Fudge. "Ooh," Fudge said. "Lolly." Mine was root beer flavored. I hate root beer, but I thanked Mr. Berman anyway. "I'll save it for after lunch," I told him, handing it to my mother. She put it in her purse. Fudge got a lemon lolly. He ripped off the paper and started sucking right away. "Now then, what'll it be, boys?" Mr. Berman asked. My mother answered, "Brown and white sandals for Fudge and loafers for Peter." "Okay, Peter, let's see how those feet have grown." Okay, so that's the end of part 1 for chapter 6. And here are the questions for chapter 6, part 1. The first one, why does Peter think Saturday mornings are the best? Describe what he does. There are steps, okay? List the steps. Number 2, why did the dentist need Peter's help? How did Peter help? Number 3, Dr. Brown said that mothers are a big problem. What does he mean by that? And lastly, number 4, who is their favorite shoe salesman and why? Okay, so we have 4 questions for tomorrow, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.